All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Going to check out its local search and its city search, see if it's got BSS for either of them. So we're back here in the GBC universe. Where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city, utilizing our North Star as always is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And this is our North Star because it explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our intent spectrum here in white, and we got way on the left, we got the highest intent people, the Google searchers, the social media searchers. These people that are looking for a boudoir photo shoot in their city right now. Highest intent people, closest to the money, highest conversion rate. And over on the right, we got the lowest intent people. These are, reaching by interruption ads, Facebook, Instagram. People ain't looking for a boudoir right now. Most of them don't even know what the heck boudoir is. So that's our sister brand, FB Ad Doctor. Talk about BLCS over there, different profiles. And these are we currently over there only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. But here we talk about BSS. We're gonna dive into it right now. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And when a boudoir photographer's got 0 slots, well, they're on page 2 or deeper, and that's extra bad. And that's because we know that approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. They're page 1 and done. And so that's who we care about. We care about the approximately 80% of Google searchers because they're the bulk of the market. We don't care about the remaining 20%. Let's focus on the approximately 80%. So we're on page 2 or deeper, dude. We're invisible to all of them. 1 slot on page 1 Google, also not good enough. Still basically invisible, simply because we look the same as everyone else. And if we got 1 slot on page 1 of Google, well, there's 10 slots. And as a result, it's probably going to be 9 other boudoir photographers, 1 link for each. And so, a buyer, what they're going to be doing is just, clicking, going down, clicking everyone's link, and, price shopping everyone, and basically contacting everyone, jamming down the price, jamming down the kind of, what a seller can get. And it's become super, super cutthroat. So we never want to be at 0 or 1. We call that boudoir search sameness. And 0 or 1 slots on page 1 Google is not normal. Extremely common, extremely accepted, but not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. The first deeper root cause, market saturation. Someone get a new iPhone, then they throw up on Google Maps that they do boudoir photography, and they got a website that's starting to rank page 1 on, or competing to rank page 1 on Google. Or someone gets a new camera, they start posting in the mom groups that they shoot boudoir now. So this market saturation, basically everyone knows about this. A big kind of tsunami happened during COVID. People couldn't work, lost their jobs, they still need certain money. Everyone's got a smartphone, everyone's got an awesome camera. So a lot of boudoir photographers entered the market. Makes it harder for every other boudoir photographer in that market because it's the same sellers or more sellers for the same number of buyers. So it gets harder and harder for each seller. Now, this new one that very few people know about is the false belief of page 1 equality. That is that's the second deeper root cause for why people only have 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And that's because it's simply kind of automatically accepting or agreeing with, or maybe not even thinking about if it's true or false, but kind of an auto assumption that each boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And if you're on page 1, you had your 1 slot with your website, and market gets a little bit more saturated, you get kicked down to page 2. Well, that's simply how it is. You win some, you lose some, and you kind of gotta simply wait for someone to delete their boudoir photography website to actually increase, or actually hopefully move back up onto page 1. So that's a false belief, and I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google in only 10 days. So I know Google will actually give us as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the effort to acquire. Best part is, requires no Google ads, which at max will give you 1 PPC slot somewhere on the page, even if there's other available inventory open. And their momentum dies when you stop spending. So there, and you got to test and figure out all these things to get them to work, constant checking. Way too much maintenance for not enough outcome there. Next, we know that Boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing Boudoir photographer, because if they're on page 2 or deeper, or if they're on page 1 but one slot essentially invincible, then they disappeared from essentially like the 80% of searchers, which means the boudoir photography business itself is on the path to disappearing as well. And we don't want that to happen. So we got our micro universe here. Disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. Thankfully, though, we now have a solution because we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka executed methodology. And we know that because we invented it, we've used it. We've gone from, again, 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search in only 10 days. And it works exactly as it says, social search saturation. We're going to saturate the highest intent keywords on social search. And as a result of that, well, when we do that, it's kind of like small streams and rivers on the backside of the Andes Mountains down in South America. When we successfully have those eventually flow down into the large Amazon River. They all merge. And likewise in our scenario, all our social search saturation eventually flows down and merges onto Google page 1 Google search, those 10 organic slots. And Google will give us as many as we put in the effort to acquire. And also SQ methodology is the only thing I've seen that actually, for boudoir photographers, that is able to successfully fight back against market saturation. So, maintain the business and actually still grow in spite of market saturation. So still get bigger and happen relatively quickly, get results shown up relatively quickly. The only other thing I've seen that can fight back against market saturation and still allow the business to grow in spite of market saturation is brand. Having a well-known massive brand. Dude, that takes 5 to 10 years. We ain't got that time. SQ methodology works relatively way faster than that. And AI is taking people's jobs, taking people's opportunities. We ain't got 5 to 10 years to build a brand. With SQ methodology, if let's say there's a million boudoir photographers in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we're one of them, and everyone's got their own boudoir photography website, competing to rank page 1 Google search, then what's going to happen is we need to try a new strategy to actually outcompete everyone else. So take SQ methodology, we crank it up to the max, and let's say we take the first 300 slots on social search for all the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, and we actually, that saturation actually flows onto Google page 1, and we actually get the first 300 slots Google to ourselves. What actually happens is it's 10 organic Google slots per page, and as a result, we got the first 30 pages all to ourselves, and the final one is page 31. That's essentially our competitors first start showing up for organic search. So boudoir buyers basically never find them. So whose business is growing when we got ultra market saturation, a million boudoir photographers? But where the first 300 slots anywhere a boudoir buyer looks. Obviously, our business is still growing. Everyone else's business is disappearing, dying off. It's because SQ methodology is the only thing that enables that without having a brand. And it actually speeds out the process of acquiring a brand. My estimation is probably 8x faster. It's because we're seen on so many more surfaces so much more frequently. Next, once we treat with SQ methodology, we have page 1 visibility. And an initial benefit of this, a second benefit utilizing SQ methodology is every new slot we take, page 1 of Google, we're actually kicking competing boudoir photographers off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So that's a second benefit. That's another initial benefit of utilizing SQ methodology, is we're getting more kicking more people off page 1. We already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2, so we're making our competitors invisible to approximately 80% of the searchers out there. Awesome. And page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. This is where we want to hit our recommended 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google, because that's the GBC recommended minimum. And that's because if we got 3 slots, basically everyone else will have 1 slot, we'll look way better than them. Way higher chance buyers, click on us and don't even click on our competitors because they're like, wow, why does Google recommend this person 3 times? That's the 3rd person I've seen them now on this page. They may not even click on any of our competitors. And in the very rare case, another boudoir photographer competitor has 2 slots, then we're still dominating them as well. We got it because we got 3. So that's why we got the GBC recommended minimum of 3. And a boudoir photographer with BSV, boudoir search visibility, is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So this is our micro universe. We got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page 1 equality. And we now have a solution, execute methodology. We achieve page 1 visibility, we become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. Next, my results. So my results, I want to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. Okay, I'm going to utilize my execute methodology to achieve that. And after 10 days, these are my results. So page 1 is it Google organic page 1, or the organic slots here for organic search. Slot 1, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10, me. So in 10 days, I went from 0 out of 10 slots, page 1 of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 of Google, all by purely using S-cubed methodology. So main event here now. I'm going to take a look at this boudoir photography business and see, basically see for its local search and city search, does that BSS, yes, no, for all of them, for one of them, or what? All right, so we're going to Virginia Beach. Okay, Virginia Beach, we're here. All right, boom, we got one. All right, so we got 1 out of 10 local. Let's go to city, closest, oh, another city closest nearby. All right, so let's see. All right, we're at 0 out of 10 for city. All right, so local, we got 1 out of 10 slots, so we do a BSS. And city, we got 0 out of 10 slots, so yes, we got BSS for both. And also for both, we are not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 of Google search. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've done your local search, you've done your city search, either have BSS for one of those, or you're not meeting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for one of those. And you realize this means you're starting to disappear. A disappearing boudoir photographer, this is the first kind of flag, the first kind of warning light. If we start becoming disappearing here, eventually the business becomes disappearing as well. And you're seeing SQ methodology like, yes, this is exactly what I need. This is what you've been wanting to use or wanting to have as a solution for a while. And you've already broken out the false belief of page 1 equality. And you understand market saturation. Yeah, people get new gear, okay. And you're loving the initial awesome benefits, SQ methodology, more links, page 1 Google, kicking more competitors off page 1 of Google, kind of making them become disappearing boudoir photographers. And you're looking ahead and you're seeing, since you understand market saturation, you're actually seeing that AI is going to be taking a ton of people's jobs more and more over time. So it's literally going to be kind of bringing in a larger and larger amount of boudoir photographers over time. So you're realizing you got to fortify your position on page 1 on Google. Not just get it right now, but actually kind of build up even excess links in the back end in reserve, that so many links out there that actually prevents any future competing boudoir photographers from getting on page 1 either. And you're saying, okay, SQ methodology is also the only thing you see that can accomplish that. So it's kind of a near-term extra benefit. And you want to achieve boudoir search page 1 visibility, so that you become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility, because you know you need those things in order to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you also understand the future back-end benefits of becoming the #1, or of utilizing SQ methodology. Is basically the first one is you're building up these invisible thematic keyword columns, kind of like plugged into your brand, plugged into your business name, your website, your social media handles, or kind of like spokes, hub and spoke, plug in these different spoke columns into your brand that actually bring, that actually eat up mind share in the backend Google AI kind of like mind brain. And so, that every day we successfully execute methodology, higher chance you'll be getting recommended here AI overview, because you're basically bundling up kind of these building up repetition, authority, relevance, frequency, age of these invisible thematic keyword columns that takes up AI mindshare, which also increases the probability of recommended AI search. ChatGPT growing AI search growing every single day. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Google search is still, approximately 90% of global search, but AI search is literally growing every day. It's what I use most frequently. It's basically just give me the summary. I don't want to click through it after read and figure these things out myself. And I know last time I did search for boudoir photographers in a city that I got 3, and then I went searching myself on Google, and there's like approximately 60 in that city. So I'm like, okay, we definitely got to be building momentum here, increase the probability of recommended in these 3 slots. And you're seeing, okay, SQ methodology is the only thing that will build these invisible thematic keyword columns for you to achieve this increase in probability of AI search being recommended for AI search. And you're also understanding that, my current plan is to only work with 1 boudoir photographer per city. So you decide, hey, you're going to jump on this first, get all these initial benefits, box out your competitors so they can't use me, build up this kind of invisible momentum gap with your competitors to where, we can get it to where essentially they can never, ever catch up to us. And, the converse, if your competitor were to work with me first, that you'd actually have to go rederive or derive S-cube methodology for yourself. And then you'd have to go execute it. But you would never be 100% confident putting in the time to execute it because you would not know if you've even derived it correctly in the first place. And, when you'd have to equal our execution every day with me and your competitor, and that's simply to maintain the gap. To actually make up progress, you'd have to double or triple our output every single day using the system I invented, and to close that gap, be able to basically pull that AI mindshare back from me and your competitor, kind of those invisible thematic keyword columns. And who's got 80 hours in a day to do that? So you're like, screw that. You've decided you're going to be first mover of your city to actually get all this stuff done. And so if that's you, shoot me a DM. My DMs are currently closed. The hospital is currently closed, not taking any new patients. But when my DMs do open, shoot me a DM and we'll see if you qualify for utilizing our S-cubed methodology.